Come on. Now, excuse me while I try to compose myself because we did it. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. We did it. Chelsea Football Club is back in the Champions League where we belong. There were points last season where I honestly didn't know how long it would take to get back here. Even with the project I knew we had ongoing, there was no guarantee. There was truly no guarantee. Last season, a lot of it was Cole Palmer, and there was only hope that other people around him would start to click and we get a team that could make it back to the Champions League this season. In the first half of the season, it looked like, oh, they figured it out. We're getting there. Back half of the season, it's like, oh, we're a little early. Never mind. We're going probably to Europa League next year. But as these last few weeks started to unfold, I started to get in the back of my mind, it's possible. It's possible. But the hardest thing to overcome was the fact that we had the toughest schedule coming down the stretch. And the rivals for those spots, Newcastle, Villa, Forest, I wasn't sure who was going to get it. Or even City, if you had to count City too. It looked honestly like Chelsea were in one of the worst positions to actually secure top 5. Especially coming down the stretch, that Newcastle, United, Forest last 3 games. Newcastle, I had no faith we'd win that game. We didn't. United, as bad as they are, for us, that's not an easy game. And I talked about that game in a previous video. But we got business done in that game. And then Forest, final day of the season, at Forest, there's no guarantee we win this game. And I honestly thought, considering the fact that Newcastle were playing Everton, Villa were playing United, coming off probably the worst day in their history, or at least in their recent history, in that loss to Spurs in the Europa League final. I'm thinking Villa's going to spank them. Newcastle's going to spank them. City, low-key, might have had some trouble with Fulham maybe. But Chelsea are playing a direct rival for the spot. Basically, win and you're in type situation. And we pulled it out. We pulled it out when we needed to pull it out. And that's honestly, for me, because I said this even before this game, this is a cup final for us. The Europa League final, like, obviously I'd love to win it. I'd love to walk away from the season with a trophy. That will be like the cherry on top to make it a good or solid season, a really good season. But really, to me, that trophy, like, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. I'd love to have it, but it's not that deep. Winning against Forest, this is a cup final, and this is what's going to tell me a lot about Maresca and this team for the next season, because when it was all on the line, we came through. That's what's really important to me. And now, going into next season, knowing when it came down to it, going up against a direct rival for who's basically, we're taking food off each other's plates, us and Forest, we got it done. That's what matters to me, and that's why this was a massive result. I do want to talk more about basically how this wraps up our season and the end of the Premier League season, but first of all, just do a quick little run through the game. I'm not going to go as in-depth as I usually do, just because now that it's over, I don't really care about how it happened. We got it done. But just quickly, first half, honestly, we were getting dominated. I was shook. I was Puss in Boots, bro. Forest were putting it on us chance after chance, and it seemed like they had the better of the chances. We did have that one cross from Palmer to Neto, with Palmer putting it on a plate once again. And like I said in the last game, just because Palmer's not walking away from games with goals and assists doesn't mean he's not positively impacting games. That's what I realize people aren't noticing about Palmer. He just put a chance on a plate for Neto and he couldn't finish it. Well, on the other hand, Ola Aina put a chance on a plate for Chris Wood and he also couldn't finish it. Not that either of them were the easiest finishes ever. I'd say Neto's probably should have finished that one more than Chris Wood, but Chris Wood is a striker, like a proper striker, and one of the best strikers in the league this season. Neto is a winger who's being a makeshift striker for us, which says a lot about some stuff we need to work on in the window, but still, that I think that's something he should finish. But that first half, I was not confident. I was not confident at all. The second half, we come out, we respond. That's what you want to see from a team. Go into the halftime tunnel and come back out with the bite between your teeth and go, okay, let's go. This is our game to win. And this is what happened. We came out, He had a free kick, or no, a corner, short corner, whatever. Ends up being a loose ball that gets kicked through. Neto just squares it across a couple players, and Levi Colwill, open net, goal, tucks it away, and we're up 1-0. And from that point on, it was our game to lose. We told Forrest, you have to come beat us. But even then, despite giving them all those opportunities, we still had our chances. I still say we were the better team in the second half. But really, it showed that when we needed to lock it down, we could lock it down. And we definitely did lock it down. So I just want to give a big shout out to Chelsea for seeing that game out, Maresca for seeing that game out, made the proper substitutions. I would say, too, I was a little worried about Ola Aina. I thought he was the most dangerous player for Forest at times. And he got subbed out. So I was like, once he got subbed out, I could breathe a little better. What really made me be able to breathe better was actually once I saw that Everton scored against Newcastle. Because after we got the 1-0 lead, I was still worried. I was like, Forest, they still have chances. They can still pull this out. But once Everton scored against Newcastle, I was like, well, actually, before that, before we even scored, I saw Villa got a red card. I didn't watch that game live. I was watching our game, so it looked justified from what I saw on Martinez coming out against Hoyland. But still, I saw that red card. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. But still, I don't think it's impossible that Villa beat United with 10 men. Then I see Everton score against Newcastle. And I'm like, okay, I could breathe a little better after we got our goal too. And then I saw United put 2 against Villa. I was like, okay. So now even if Forest score and draw the game, we're still in a great spot. And that's what we love to see. So toward the end of the game, I was able to get a little bit of that stress off my shoulders. I knew, okay, we're a little more solid. But that first half until our goal, I was shook. I was positively shook, but we got it done. And even at the end of the game, Chris Wood, another chance, a sick ball from the keeper. I think Sells played it from like the halfway line, perfectly over the top to Wood. Wood takes it down with his thigh, and then he just like skies it. Chris Wood, they say he's up to no good, but he was up to a lot of good this game for Chelsea. We paid him off. Let's just say that, because he was not putting away the chances we would hope he put away as a bona fide Premier League number 9. He chose the wrong game to look like this. He fumbled. He fumbled a couple chances, and that's what we needed. It helped us to go through, or at least to get Champions League. So I ain't mad at it. I guess quickly too, man of the match. I feel like I have to give it to Colwill. He did what he had to do in this game. Not only the goal, I mean, obviously the game-winning goal, I guess Champions League securing goal, you got to give him that. But also defensively, as a leader, he just played well all around. He kept Forrest at bay when we needed him the most, alongside Tosin, Kukureya, Reece James, all that too. But I think overall his game today was really strong. And I think because he specifically is that constant in our center back partnership, I got to give him a lot of respect for his play over the course of the season. We keep cycling out that right center back, but Colwill looks like our center back for the future, really. And I'm hoping we can get someone to pair with him that's a bit stronger than either Tosin. Chalobah, I don't mind, but it seems like Maresca doesn't love him. Even Fofana, injury prone. So I don't want to rely on that. I feel like we need to get in a solid right center back to partner Colwill. Hoyson would have been interesting, but obviously he's going to Madrid, so that's not working out. Maybe someone a little more senior, a veteran to come in, because Colwill is still on the young side, even though he is taking more of a leadership role. But I don't know. I'd love to see someone a little more experienced come in, just something calmer, especially with Sanchez behind them. Although realistically, we're hoping Sanchez is not behind them, but we'll get a little bit more into that later. Some more quick takeaways though I had about this game, and it kind of says a lot about what we need to work on in the summer and what we're looking for the future. Palmer can't create and finish chances himself, and because of, I guess, some of our struggles in the build-up, he's having to come so deep to pick up the ball just to try to affect the game. So then we don't have him in those positions that we had him in last season, where he's there to finish off these moves and get those goals. And he's putting players on a platter and they're not finishing their dinner. We need someone more reliable to come in. I know obviously we have Jackson, and Jackson has his own reliability issues in front of goal, but he was suspended for this game. We need someone, a bona fide finisher, to come in up top. That should be a priority in the window, because someone's got to finish these chances if we're not going to play Palmer basically in those positions. And honestly, I ain't mad at seeing Palmer up top sometimes, but we need his creativity from behind too. So, kind of a dilemma that really can only get solved by bringing in a bona fide number 9, like a true finisher, a true finisher. Because Jackson, his strengths are more in the running the channels, kind of shifting out wide at times in his runs. So that's not exactly what we need. Him and Palmer work great together, but someone who can be really on the end of these chances and can slot it home, we can go up another level. Speaking of the attack too, though, this entire season I've been super nice to Sancho. I don't want to hate on him. Obviously, it's not working out at United for him. He has his success in the Bundesliga. We took a chance on him instead of, I guess, Sterling, who we sent off to Arsenal. And that's its own issue, but really, it's just not enough. He has bright spots, but he can go missing for entire games. Like this game, when he went off, I was so thankful, not just because we run on Lavia, who I like a lot, and for a defensive substitution, we needed to see the game out, but also because Sancho was doing nothing. He literally did nothing for the entire game. Honestly, good riddance. Send it back to United. We tried it. It didn't work. Get ready to battle relegation, buddy. That's United's problem. They can decide whether or not they want Sancho, Anthony, Rashford, or Garnacho, bro. That's its own issue. But it's just not it for Chelsea. I think we can do better. We have Neto, we have Madueke. I don't love either of them, but at least they're trying to make things happen. Even if the execution isn't always there, we appreciate that. And I think we have some exciting young attackers coming in that we already signed, other than the ones I'm hoping we sign this summer. We have Esteval, who I haven't seen anything of. I'm not watching the Brazilian Serie A or whatever, but he looks exciting, at least from highlights. He's coming in this summer, and I think Quenda is coming in from Sporting next summer. So we don't have room for these deadweight attackers anymore. Get them out of here. Bring in these new, young, exciting guys. And let's see what we can do. Palmer pulling the strings, these young guys running in, and someone who can really finish chances up top. I think we can be a really solid team in the next couple of years. And like I said earlier, another center back, a right center back specifically, would be amazing. Amazing. That would really shore up the defense because we have a really solid fullback partnership, at least when fully fit. But even backup Gusto, I'm not mad at him either. He's honestly been playing more like a winger these days when he comes on as a sub. So we kind of have to sort out that situation. But still, if Reece James can stay fit and he put together a run of games to end this season, our defense is solid if we bring in another right center back. And most importantly, if we bring in a keeper. Oh my God, the keeper. I don't even think we need to sign a keeper. I think Chelsea can solve their keeper problem internally by number 1, getting rid of Robert Sanchez. That's 1. 2, Jorgensen. I know he had his opportunities and he wasn't the best either, but I still think he's a solid prospect at keeper. But more importantly than both of them, Petrovic, who I think he's playing for Strasbourg. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but over in Ligue 1, I think he's been the best keeper in that league from what I'm hearing this season. Either him or like that Chevalier guy. So Petrovic, bring him back from loan, put him in net, and hopefully that should at least shore up. Even if he isn't the greatest keeper ever, he's got to be better than Sanchez. I mean, the bar is in hell, honestly. The bar is so low. He's got to be better than Sanchez. Even those little tweaks, an experienced right center back, even if it's a young guy, I know they like to sign young, that's the project. But even, okay, sure, that too. Just a right center back, a keeper, and a striker. And all of a sudden, we might be doing crazy things. And I say that because our players of the season, and I'm going to say this now, I think these are my Chelsea players of the season. I'll give a top 3. Caicedo, our best player of the season, hands down. That guy, 100 million pounds or 115 million, whatever it was, it's kind of impossible to ever truly justify that as a defensive midfielder. Really, people want to see goals for that price tag, but he's coming as close as you can to being worth that price tag because his performances have been electric across the season. He's really the heart of this Chelsea team right now in terms of winning us the ball back. Even going forward, he provides a lot. Slotting in at right back when we need that. He's really just done everything we needed this season, and he's been our best player. Cole Palmer, I know people are going to say, oh, he didn't score for however many games, no GA for however long, he fell off in the back half of the season. Watch the games. He positively impacts games every single game, for the most part anyway. And even still, even if you just want to count the first half of the season, because people are glazing Bruno Fernandes for the back half of the season, as they should. He went crazy. But that was what Cole Palmer was doing in the first half of the season for Chelsea. And Cole Palmer doing it had us up at second place in the table. And obviously we fell off in the back half. But still, we were only in the position to even compete for these Champions League spots in the back half of the season because we started so strong. We had a high bar to maintain that we fell off from. That kept us in that window. If we didn't have that first half of the season where Cole Palmer was going crazy, scoring 4 goals and a half or whatever he was doing, we would have been like in that group with Brighton, Bournemouth, who else was there? I guess Fulham was in and about there. Like those kind of teams. There's no disrespect to them. Those are all solid teams. Brentford's what I'm forgetting. We would have been like in that group, really, battling for Conference League again, maybe Europa League, but not a Champions League at all. So Cole Palmer still, even with the back half of the season, if people want to say was the greatest fall off, whatever, he's one of our top 3 players of the season. And Marc Cucurella, honestly, from last season to this season, has been one of the most improved performances I've seen from a fullback. Night and day. Talked about it in the United game. But that campaign with Spain in the Euros transformed him into a completely different player. And this season, he's been extremely solid, not only defensively, but in the back half of the season, contributing a ton of goals. He was our top scorer in 2025 for the longest. I don't know if he still is. He probably still is. He's really become undroppable. Like, he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet for Chelsea. And I don't think you ever would have said that in the past. So Cucurella, he definitely makes the top 3. And then some honorable mentions. Like I said earlier, you got to put Koval in there for the season he had. You got to put Reece James in there, even if he didn't play the whole season. Just the fact that he was able to put together a stretch of games, we take that. As Chelsea fans, that's all we can ask for, because we just need his quality on the pitch as much as possible. And especially because you can see when he's there, the experience, the quality, the leadership, it really raises our level. And you saw it in that game against United. Him and Cucurella combining for that goal said all it needs to say. And then last but not least, Enzo Fernandez. I got to give him his credit, because first half of the season when we were flying, Enzo was having a rough time, honestly. It was not looking good. And back half of the season when we've been struggling, he's really been one of the players that's kept us from completely sinking. He really raised the level of his game. First half of the season, I would have, and I know a lot of other Chelsea fans and players and people in general would have said, oh, you got to play Caicedo and Lavia. That's the pairing. I still think that pairing is pretty strong, but Enzo made himself a really solid part of the A team, where in the first half of the season, it was looking like he was going to fall into that Conference League B team. So shout out to Enzo. He's added goals. He's been a really consistent passer, more of a threat going forward than he was before, more leadership, just everything. Enzo really picked up his game, and now next season he's going to be one of the core members of this team if he doesn't somehow go somewhere in the summer. I know there's some rumors about Real Madrid or whatever. I don't know, but either way, assuming he's here next summer, he's a core part of the team as well. So shout out to Enzo as well. So just a quick to wrap up basically Chelsea's season. It's hard to say after everything that's happened that we didn't have a good season. I have to say it was a good season. Coming into the season, I don't know if anyone confidently would have said Chelsea are getting Champions League football. And at the end of the season, we got Champions League football. Despite where we were halfway through the season in second place, despite the fall off, whatever people want to say, I know expectations do change throughout a season, and you have to take that into account. But still, going into after the Newcastle game, it was looking shaky. You could say expectations then, people were saying Chelsea aren't going to get Champions League football. But we actually pulled through, and I think that's what matters the most. So you have to say fair play to Enzo Maresca. Last year, we had 63 points, 18 wins, and we got 6th place. This year, we're up to 69 points, 20 wins, and we got 4th place. I know it's not always so black and white, and you could honestly, people will probably say Poch would have had the same improvement, but at the end of the day, Maresca actually got it done this year. That's what matters the most. He actually did get it done, and I know he's part of the transfer like team for the summer. So let's see what happens. Give him another summer. I mean, it was never in doubt that he was going to continue, but see what happens this summer. Bring in some more players. Work on your system. Year two, it's good to see a coach get a second year. We'll take that. We at least want to see a coach get a second year. Build on what we already did, and maybe next year we'll be pushing for top three, top two. You never know. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen because these teams in and around us are just getting stronger and stronger. So it'll probably be another top four race next year. But for at least for this year, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We have to appreciate that it was a good season. One way or another, either way, it was a good season. So come on, let's go. I'm gassed. Premier League's done. Hopefully we can get those signings that I talked about. And next year we can kick on and start strong. So thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. I'm pretty sure my next video is going to be a Premier League Team of the Season video, so tune back in for that. And then we're definitely doing a video on the Champions League final because the Champions League has been electrifying this year. So keep an eye out for the next week. We're going to have some banger videos coming out. But like I said, once again, appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time. Whoosh.